the U.S. is one of the very few countries, when you list out Germany, UK, Japan, India, Russia, Brazil, China, that's actually projected to increase population. You say, well, what about China? We're looking at a 46% decrease, down to 54% of its current levels because of their issues with birth rate. Hey folks, it's great to be back with you. This is Colin Richards, president of Lord & Richards, and we're in the middle of a little mini-series on God Bless the USA. Why Lord & Richards is bullish, that means positive, on investing in the U.S. and U.S. companies. You know, a lot of people talk negatively about our country, both from without and from within. But you know what? Ever since I grew up in the home of a military family, and I praise God for my father who served in the military, retired fully, got a full retirement after 25 years in the Air Force. I am so grateful for this country. And you know what? We've got problems. We're always going to have problems. That's just the nature of disagreements and not being all robots. But one of the great things about our country is we know how to come together to produce tremendous economic output. And we talked about our gross domestic product here in a segment before, but in this segment, I'm going to move over a little bit and talk to you about the markets here and why, again, I'm still positive. Are we going to see down markets? Absolutely. At Lord & Richards, we tell our clients, hey, brace for 3 to 4 years every decade of down markets. And let's put some strategies in your portfolio like hedging, like principal protected strategies to reduce or eliminate risk on the downside. But then let's link up to the U.S. markets as well as foreign. Okay, I'm not against foreign markets, but I'm just telling you, we're going to suggest we be dominated by the U.S. market in our equity and bond investing. So let's talk about the size of the U.S. market. We talked about gross domestic product, in which China is, a distant second, but still significant compared to Europe. Well, what about market capitalization? The markets here in this country that we participate in, the size of those markets and the incredible potential. So by trillions, the U.S. has $71 trillion in bond and equity markets. Okay, that is an incredible volume. $71 trillion is in motion at any one given point. Where is China on that? 4.2. 4.2. You're kidding me, right? It's not even close, the Chinese markets. People are just raging mad, concerned about China taking over the world and the U.S. losing its status as the reserve currency. I'm telling you, there's no place stronger on earth to invest, and we're just getting stronger. The next closest is Japan at 10.7, and then it goes down from there to Spain at 2.0 trillion. So the U.S. dominating the market. Even when you bring together the whole European Union, not even close, not a comparison. What about if we pull together kind of everything I've been talking about in these segments? Our gross domestic product, U.S. wins. Our gross domestic product, that rate of increase, U.S. wins. Our gross domestic product per capita, our market weight. Well, when we put all of those together, the U.S. is the only one of the top 10 countries in every single one of those categories. The only one. The close second is countries like the U.K. that are top 10 in GDP and market weight, but they're not top 10 in GDP per capita. And then you got countries like Luxembourg, a little tiny speck over there in Europe, beautiful, by the way, I've walked it, that has some of the highest GDP per capita. It's nice to be rich, but both their market weight and their gross domestic product are tiny in comparison to the U.S. So when we put all this together, folks, the U.S. is still number one. Now, there's another statistic I want to give you. Okay, one of the key important statistics in any society is population. Population. And whether that population is continuing on steady or increasing or declining. And there's a couple of these that I want to talk about. Number one is our total population relative to 2021, what the anticipated population is going to look like out over the rest of this century. Okay, so looking out all the way to 2100. Okay, the U.S. is one of the very few countries When you list out Germany, UK, Japan, India, Russia, Brazil, China, one of the few countries that's actually projected to increase population. The others are India at about a 9% increase over that time, and also the UK at about 5% increase. The US, 17% increase. You say, well, what about China? We're looking at a 54% or a 46% decrease, down to 54% of its current levels because of their issues with birth rate. Now, as long as we're talking about the working population, what does that look like over the next century? How is it going to look in China, Brazil, Russia, India, Japan, the UK, Germany, and the US? Well, over the next century, you can expect the US working age population to remain stable, almost exact same level. Every other nation I just mentioned is going to be in decline. And as we, again, put the spotlight on China, because we're extremely competitive with them, they are looking at a 61% potential decrease in working age population. That is a huge impact to the output of the economy. Now, a lot of times clients are talking to me about, well, Colin, what about our crude oil production? What about our energy independence? We're so reliant on these other factors. But you know what I've seen happen over the last several years, and particularly in response to the war in Ukraine, U.S. oil production has soared to now over 13.2 billion barrels of oil a day, right at the top of the industry globally. And so the U.S. is as independent energy-wise as we can get. It's a wonderful thing to be in this kind of place as a country where we can supply our own energy, our workforce is stable, if not growing, our population is stable, if not growing, our markets are larger than most of the other markets in the world combined, our gross domestic output is not only larger, but growing at a faster pace. This is a great time for us to go big on the U.S. And that's going to be my advice to you in this segment is I want us to see not shrinking and pulling away from U.S. markets, but moving towards them. Now, again, I always talk about making sure you have safety nets, making sure you have cautions in place so that whether you're working or whether you're in retirement, you're not unduly impacted by the inevitable rise and fall of the market. We want to see steady, consistent returns, but none of us likes to see the market plunge. That's why at Lord & Richards, we implement institutional risk management, strategies that are used by the ultra wealthy and institutions like pension funds, insurance companies, hospitals, foundations, educational institutions, and so on. And we can get access to that because of the tremendous leverage our combined client base is able to bring. In addition, we have principal protected strategies, but all of these still linking to the market to enjoy the incredible rise with our country's rise across the world. You also can enjoy that rise within your portfolio. I would love to talk to you about how you can do this and achieve financial independence. It just simply starts with a phone call.